Thank you for joining us today at the CIO News event. It's very important that we have good audiences like you and have such kind of experience nearby. I can see as it was told that it's almost 100 years of experience sitting on left-hand side, and that's very good for me to just learn from such high-level people and understand how they have done as part of cooperative banking. So we are discussing cooperative banking 3.0. So just giving a context to it, cooperative banking 3.0 is where we have seen cooperative banking kind of giving those kind of grassroots level facility to the people who are unable to open accounts in the urban or kind of metro cities. They have helped them quite very specifically. Now coming to at a level of 3.0 where it's time for the cooperative banking to get into collaboration with the fintech companies or with the financial institutions to help the customers get more level of satisfaction as well as providing them digital level of services which helps them kind of get more level of better understanding of the products that they are providing. So thank you everyone. This was just a context. Thank you everyone for joining it. So I'll start my first question with Poojari sir and Lakshman sir. This question sir comes to you. How do you see the cooperative banking that has evolved in last 5 years, and what do you foresee as compared to what is the difference in before like 10 years or 15 years? What's the difference at today's age?
Well, cooperative banks, actually, if you see now, they are at the crossroads. Earlier, the cooperative banks were just like credit societies, small group of people coming together and forming a cooperative society. Then it turned out to be banks. These banks have no license. They were funding all the financial needs of the rural population. Rural population, there was nothing. They were not getting any funds at all from the nationalized banks. Even after nationalization of 1969, rural people, they were not getting any funds, and they had to beg or mortgage their properties or gold or anything from the money lenders. So after that, RBI came out with the suggestion that NABARD, let them professionalize all the cooperative banks which are unlicensed. Even if you see in 2012, about 290 cooperative banks were unlicensed. Now it may be about 15 to 20. RBI mandated NABARD to make them professional, come under the platform of CBS, make completely system driven. So after that, Maligram committee came. Maligram committee said, cooperative banks are unprofessional, let there be board of management. So in 2011, RBI mandated high-powered committee saying that, everybody should be, at least in the board of directors, 50% should be professionals. At least 2 expert directors should be there. That's all. Now, almost all cooperatives are under the CBS platform, and system-driven things are there now. And a lot of things have these things have undergone change, and they are competing with all the nationalized banks and the commercial banks. And this, in spite of all the problems, they lack capital, they have no funds, infrastructure is not there. Still, they are competing with the well-known public sector banks as well as private sector banks. So this is the way last 5 years it has gone. And now, coming to the present position, they are at the crossroads. RBI is saying there is no leeway given to the urban cooperative banks. They have to be like all the nationalized banks or the commercial banks. The circulars applies to these small banks, cooperative banks, and then commercial bank, the same circular. There is no leeway at all. So under these circumstances, they have to find out how the system can be developed. How? Because they have no capital, infrastructure facility is not there. Under these circumstances, they say, we have to go much bigger unless somebody comes to us, then some collaboration takes place here with the fintech companies, because fintechs can grow together. That is what they are thinking. Ultimately, yesterday only that digital lending circular came in the night by RBI, saying that you can go for parallel banking and there will be FLDG, that is first loss guarantee is given. finance guarantee. That's a very good circular. So now it is ultimately, now they are saying digital lending has to be there, and all cooperative banks also have to participate in this.
Thank you, sir. Lakshman sir, what's your view on the today's generation who is kind of opening bank accounts, and the ones that you kind of, when you started the cooperative banking as part of Nanded Merchant Bank? So what is the difference that you are seeing, and how is it coming out for the bank?
Nanded Merchant Bank is a 60-year-old bank. Earlier, it was established under State Government Act, and RBI was nowhere in the picture. It is a self-funded bank working just like what we called as a patpedi. Later on, RBI imposes its act in 1967. Before 69, that is before the nationalization, these banks provide the basic funds to the rural areas. Now we are working with just 20 branches and 1,000 crore business in 60 years. Now RBI, after 2008, government and RBI imposes various norms, just like income tax, just like CD ratio, just like CRAR, and other restrictions too. Earlier, there wasn't a government SLR imposed on the cooperative bank. Now, after 97th constitutional amendment, central government in such a position, central government wants to demoralize these banks. Either they should convert into a financial bank, a small loan bank, or they should merge among themselves. That is why in last 4 or 5 years you will find that more than 40% bank has been merged or vanishing. At this rate, when a bank like ours, if wants to give better services to the customer, there are many hurdles. Technically, the technological persons, if you want to hire, nobody wants to come at such a far distance. And simultaneously, the investment in infrastructure is also a problem. When CBS was introduced, I would like to share an experience. We have installed our own data center with a clustering of computers with a low-cost version, which runs for 7 to 8 years. Now we are migrated to the cloud computing. But what about the cyber securities? The expert, the guidance of the expert, and the persons to deploy are not available. And the infrastructural investment is not possible for such a small banks. So we request those multi-state banks or organizations of the cooperative bank, they should form an umbrella to provide such services to the small banks so they can survive. We have come across banking too, cooperative banking too, that CBS, KCYC, KYC, and other things too. But when the cooperative bank 3, we are having so many problems to come across, to cope up with the requirements of the RBI, central government, and state government. There are so many problems. And how many banks will survive in this position? I can't say no.
So,
Poojari will definitely, and Mr. Uday will definitely tell us, because they are having long experience, they are having so much standing, good standing in this area.
so basically, it's the customer's requirement has quite of increased in today's day, where we kind of need a lot of services to be provided them as part of digital services, which will of course come, slowly, but it has to come, and that's the change that is much needed at today's day. I'll quickly go on to the next question to Poojari sir. How do you see the introduction of UPI in 2016, and we have the feature phone availability that UPI 123 Pay that RBI has launched along with the digital payments called as DG Sathi, and how do you think that cooperative banking 3.0 will kind of manage this solution that
You
RBI
see, UPI transactions are maybe about trillion. The world's number one country having UPI transaction more than a trillion in a day, that is India. We have not only done in India, now we are expanding to the Southeast Asian countries, plus Arabian countries also, Dubai, Bahrain and all. So that is once, UPI comes, this, I am telling you, this started, thanks to COVID and the demonetization, this cashless society has started. People don't want to go to the bank now. Taking a mobile in hand, younger generation, they go to say, I will tell you one example. When I went to a temple in a rural place, I wanted to purchase one coconut. I had no change. Sir, aapke paas nahi hai paisa? Don't worry, I have got a QR code. 50 rupees, it is transferred. That is the level of penetration of UPI throughout India. Everybody knows. Go to a Bajiwala, there is UPI. Everywhere you go. Go to a medical shop, you don't have to take cash at all. That is the penetration of UPI now. And going forward, now even the wallets, credit cards, everything, their transactions are much less, but the UPI transactions are more. This has helped India to grow at multinational level. And, the world is surprised how India is doing this UPI transaction. That is how, I am telling you, we are proud of this UPI, this thing. Even the RBI is saying their cashless society is very good. In the sense, you don't have to get, because there will not be any black money at all now.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for the answer. And it kind of allows the cooperative banks to ensure that they are kind of collaborating with the fintech companies, because there are a lot of entities who are onboarding banks and allowing us the payments through the internet banking, and that allows them the ease of, even if I have an account with a cooperative bank, I don't feel restricted to kind of use the applications that the fintech
collaboration with fintech companies, that is a very good thing for the cooperative banks. Otherwise, they have no infrastructure at all. They lack capital. When the fintech companies comes, this is a win-win situation for both. In the sense, for technology's sake, fintech companies are there. For capital's sake, our cooperative banks are there. They are traditionally, they are taking calculated risk, whereas fintech companies, they take more risk. In the sense, they are technology very high risk takers. Otherwise, you have to have established infrastructure for IT facility. It will be too much of money is involved. When you collaborate with the fintech companies, efficiency is there, agility is there, alacrity is there, and you can do, because when you send loan proposal to a bank, they cannot wait for years together to sanction, months together. It has to be done within a day or two. Otherwise, people have no patience. Customers will say they're high. Customers, they are very, very high demanding customers. Customers, I don't want to wait in the queue and get my loan sanctioned. It has to be digital lending. You have to have technical collaboration with somebody and do it very fast. This alacrity or this agility, that gives the efficiency of a cooperative bank to compete with any of the big banks.
Got it, got it. So, taking out your point with regards to the collaboration, we have Gurkar sir, who from SVC was kind of collaborated already with lot of fintech companies as well as the technology companies, and he knows a lot of on what cooperative banking 3.0 has kind of been implemented as part of SVC. So, we'd like to hear from you about what digital platforms or initiatives that has been taken by your institution, or something that should be taken by the cooperative bank to reach to a particular level.
Yeah, thank you, Yogesh. Good evening to all of you here. You see, today basically the market is flooded with a lot of fintech companies. The challenge for all of us is that which one to select. You know, there are basically certain aspects like, what is the cost involved, what is your requirement, whether you can go for X or Y fintech company, so that we can, take their help in digitizing our processes and things like that. But yes, unless these are evaluated and unless we have internally certain people to evaluate their performances, their earlier performance and their capabilities, it becomes difficult for the cooperative banks to, go forward and take their help. This is the reality today. But yes, there are banks which are within the cooperative banking sector also. There are the banks which have a good capability. The problem comes, as I said, only for a smaller cooperative bank. That's why we have been discussing some point of time that yes, there has to be some support either by the NAFCUP or somebody to, help them in computerizing, in help them in, digitizing their processes. So as far as my bank is concerned, it is considered to be number 2 in the cooperative banking sector. We have around 33 to 35,000 crore, business which we do. So we have been earlier using our own internally developed software. But later on we found that as and when we see these fintechs and wherever we have to interface with other fintech or the software, we were finding it difficult. So we have now decided to change over from our existing, which is known as Genius software, to a Finacle, so that the first stage which we have completed, we will go very soon, go live in a month or so. So apart from that, but our internally software was also helping us in providing the customers in terms of internet banking, in terms of mobile banking. So these are all taken from the some of the fintech companies only. So internally also we have also developed certain softwares to give some kind of a service to some of the customers, particularly if we talk about, we have a certain fee collection software which we have been giving it to these schools and colleges. Likewise, for cooperative societies, we have our own software which helps in cooperative societies in maintaining and collecting their software. This is how step by step we have been going forward and making our digitization process more and more useful, and also it helps the customers also to take advantage of this. This is the stage. Yes, going forward, there are, when we talk about, we have been hearing about AI and, these are far, far from our reach at this particular point. I will put it like this. So yes, as and when we have the capabilities, we will definitely go for those areas and see to it that the customer satisfaction is more important for us. So going forward, we may try to do these aspects, but that's what I can say in this respect.
Thank you, sir. Got your understanding. Same, we have Prasad, sir. As per your expertise, any kind of specific technologies or digital platforms or softwares that you have kind of seen that the cooperative banks can use to kind of achieve this kind of level as we are doing at the scheduled commercial banks or the nationalized banks, and how we can provide a better customer satisfaction at the end of the day.
Yes, basically the thing is that now cooperative banks, there is a question of existence, and if they want to compete in this competitive market with the scheduled commercial banks and nationalized banks, then it is very much necessary to have some kind of systems which are there in the scheduled commercial banks. Just like use of analytics and AI things, then I think that is a must needed technology for the urban cooperative banks right now. Because to find a customer, genuine customer who is in need of your banking services, that is something you have to go to the customer now. Earlier the situation was that the customers used to go to the banks. Now the situation has reversed and the banks are going to the customers and requesting them to avail their services. So specifically this AI kind of things can be used by this urban cooperative banking sector to do the marketing and to target the customers which are in need of their services. That's how they can definitely grow. And at our bank, Vishwas Cooperative Bank, we have already initialized this AI thing. And it is in early stages right now. But since last 1 year, we are working on it, and we are getting the results for this. Even when the urban cooperative banks in our district, they were finding to do the lending of around say 25 to 30 crores. We have been able to do a lending of around 120 crores in a year. So that's how we are basically targeting and using this AI technologies.
Okay. So, Uday Gurkar sir, which one of the questions that we wanted to understand as well was the initiative part, the SVC bank kind of leading the cooperative sector as of now. So, so what level of technologies that have been implemented across the services, maybe providing bill payment services, providing digital banking platform, providing other services which helps them to kind of get the requirements maybe in the form of financial transfer or maybe non-financial transfer. So if you can throw some light on that from the SVC per se.
Yeah, as I said earlier also that to help the customers we have things like now today's there are a lot of public issues which are taking place. We provide them the service of ASBA. And as I said, in terms of opening of FD, there are like some of the banks have already started, but we have also started our send SMSs through which you can open your FDs. These are all certain additional, facilities which we are giving to the customers. And for corporate customers, we have also got, we have tied up with one of the fintech company to provide them bill discounting facilities. Like that, I think the steps taken are a little slow and progressive. That's what I can say on this.
So, Prasad sir, with regards to the key advancement and innovations as you mentioned on the AI part, if you can provide more, information on what exact, collaborations that we are planning to do or you have already kind of done with most of the, maybe with other banks or other fintech companies or other technology companies as well from that angle.
Basically, I think to have a collaboration with fintech companies, that is what is most important. Because you cannot just say that I'll do everything on my own. And that is the biggest challenge for this urban cooperative sector today, to have a right kind of resource for each and every services or scheme which they want to launch or which they want to provide. So basically technological collaboration is very much important. And in that perspective, what we have done is we have identified two of the major technological partners, and we are continuously in touch with them. We are having conversations, brainstorming sessions with them, and we are just trying to see how our bank can have some kind of innovative service for the customers. And it is not that we are just thinking for our bank. Once it is successfully implemented at our bank, we also wish to share it with all the other banks from our district, so that entire sector should grow. It is not that just one bank can make a difference to the economy or to the sector. it is that all the banks should be on one platform. So that is how we are planning.
So that's a very good point made by Prasad sir on collaboration with fintechs is one of the important part, but collaboration with other cooperative banks within the sector is also an important task that is being done and can be planned accordingly. I'll have one question which is very important. How do you see this question, Poojari sir, you can start with. We'll just take a minute, everyone, on this question and we'll kind of complete. One is with regards to the regulator and the policy makers. So how do you see them, kind of supporting the cooperative banks, allowing them to, implement infrastructure, which is, I guess, lacking nowadays. And that is something where we are intending to do collaboration for. And any specific challenges that you feel that that can be resolved by the policymakers or by the there are apex cooperative bodies within the cooperative banking sector. So how both of them can together kind of make a change within the sector?
Right. In the sense, RBI circulars are now applicable to urban cooperative banks and almost all the cooperative banks. All of a sudden, they change certain parameters, which will be actually shocking to the cooperative banks. Right. One, in the sense, some of the ARCs, which some of the asset sale to the ARC companies, all of a sudden they sent a circular saying that you provide retrospectively. That much provision is not there with the cooperative banks. This is the challenge. RBI says, when you represent through NAFCAB or any of the umbrella organizations represent, then nothing comes from RBI. In the sense, you have to live with it. You say, you book loss, nothing happens. Previous retrospectively, you provide it, but it has got to be done. This is the way, these are the challenges where cooperative banks are facing. In big banks, there is nothing, they have got ample provisions available. Small banks will have no. Ultimately, what RBI is saying is, small banks, either do or die situation. In the sense, all of a sudden, you give all commercial banks circular to the urban banks also, cooperative banks also. So this is one challenge. Anything, when they come for inspection of IT inspection, you say your compliance is not over. Our compliance is, if you say 80% compliance is done, they say no, it is only 20-25%. So whatever you have done, it has gone waste. Either you appointed Deloitte or some of the software organizations, some collaborate with fintech companies and do it. Otherwise it is not proper. If you have got any application of your own, and there is a financial application, your own application they don't see at all. They doubt. After the PMC fiasco, they don't believe the cooperative banks at all. RBI is so strict now. They come here, they see each transaction. They don't know. Even the emails, whatever you have sent, they see, they doubt whether it is correct or not. In the sense, manual intervention is completely prohibited. Everything has to be system driven.
Yeah.
So this is the challenge cooperative banks are facing with the RBI. But now that challenge is almost over. They are rising up to the occasion now, cooperative banks. They are nothing, no, you cannot say, they are inferior to any commercial bank now.
Got it. Lakshman sir, one quick, answer if you have with regards to the policymakers or any challenges that you feel as part of your organization or as seeing the cooperative bank sector.
Once again, I will like to share an experience. When the state government was regulating these cooperative or urban cooperative banks, we have compulsorily keep our deposits, reserve funds and current account with the district cooperative bank. In our district, the district cooperative, RBI has imposed section 35 on district bank. So our all reserve funds and current account funds were seized, including the FDs. No interest was paid for 7 years. In that case, RBI was compelling us to make provision 10% as if the assets are bad debt. And income tax was compelling us to pay income tax on the interest earned, which was parked. So we fight for 7 years. We have not complied with IT. We have stick up with RBI's circular. What is the income? In RBI's circular, there is a definition of income. We stick up with that circular and fought with IT department for 7 years. Later on, when the interest is realized, we have deposited the income tax. But till that time, when our bank was to survive, RBI was compelling us to make 10% provisions. And income tax was compelling us to pay tax on the income, which was not as an income. If this type of situations are raised, and we talk with so many big banks, what to do with our organization, with our federation, but no one was supported us.
So basically, we do see there are a lot of challenges that are there with the cooperative banks, and as a whole sector, we are also forming part of the financial services. So we try to support the collaboration. There are mediums where we can bring on the teams to have that collaboration with the banking sectors as well as the cooperative banks and as well as the fintech. So that is one of the important section which RBI is already going into that direction, and we see a lot of efforts being put. That's what our understanding has been, and of course it's not always at a closure end. It will always remain in a way that it has to improve, and of course we will do that. Last one question I'll take with Uday Gurkar sir and Prasad sir. How do you envision, from the going forward, say next 2-3 years, with regards to cooperative banking and the customers that are coming over here, and how do you feel that this is the customer has to go and say I'll be putting my money or taking the services from the cooperative banks, and how best we are able to achieve that as an overall cooperative banking sector as well as from the organization as well?
I think today the situation is that if you ask me, the age profile of the people, because if I see 10-15 years back, there were more who are in the age group of 45 plus. Today, if we have to invite the younger generation to come to the cooperative banking sector to transact with us, we have to provide them the best of the services which other private sector banks and public sector banks are giving. So that's the way how we can, invite the people to become our customers, and also in terms of our borrowers. So we have also taken a lot of initiatives from that particular point of view, where the younger generation is given all kinds of facilities as much as possible within our reach.
Correct.
And so that today, if I look at my age profile of the people, I find there are more of people who are in the age group of 25 to 45 rather than 45 plus. So that's a kind of a change if we have to make. We have to give those kind of facilities to the customers to make use of it. That's the way how we can increase our business and also give kind of a customer service.
Yeah, Prasad sir, your view on that?
Basically now, as today we have got around 447 banks which are there on UPI, which are live on UPI. And in the month of May itself, if you find it, there were some transaction amounting to rupees 14,89,000 crores, which took place in the month of May. So digitizing is now compulsion for every bank. But then while going towards this digitalization, how to secure your bank and how to secure your money, that is becoming a more and more challenging. and the infrastructure which is required for cyber security or securing your bank. I think cooperative banks face a greater challenge in there. And the greatest challenge for the urban cooperative banks are finding the right IT persons or resources to manage their banking system. Because now I think a time has come where RBI should take initiative that there should be two CEOs in the bank. One CEO for the banking and another, we can say, CTO, so who is for technology. Because now if a candidate has done his MBBS and if you will ask him any question from engineering, he won't be able to answer it. So that is the situation currently, that RBI puts every responsibility on the CEO. And there are so many banks where CEO doesn't know anything about the technology. So in this thing, I think the Reserve Bank should interfere in between, and they should come up saying that, okay, the CTO should be someone different from CEO, and he would be responsible for all the technological things, whether it is good or bad. And the CEO would be only responsible for the banking transactions. So down the line, another say 3 to 4 years, yes, there would be banks, or there would be some changes in the banking scenario wherein we all will need to think on these lines, or spend more money on the technology rather than the manpower.
Got it. So, as we started the session and we understood how cooperative banking 2.0 was and how we are moving to 3.0, there are 2-3 things which are very important. One is collaboration with the technology companies as well as fintechs. The second part is how do we manage and secure, as Prasad sir said, about the cyber security. Even we had multiple sessions a few minutes back, as well as how customer needs to ensure, or we need to ensure that the customer gets the services as part of customer hyper personalization session we had a few minutes back, where what is the kind of personalization we are giving as part of experience. So that is where we are heading towards. Of course, we will have regulatory requirements that we need to meet, and that's as a good example was given in today's presentation, that you have a football ground and again you need a referee to kind of manage to the entire game. We cannot be left with the players. So that regulator fencing, as well as along with doing the technological advancements, is something which is very more important, and which we have seen the cooperative banks are doing it. And I would like to give a good applause to these people, because they have kind of provided so much services to the grassroots level people, bringing them up, and now they are able to kind of able to see those kind of things which they did not kind of expect themselves, using a smartphone, doing a banking, because they already did a level of banking already with the cooperative bankers. So that's kind of a summarization that I will have from the session. And thank you all the participants, the panelists. It's a great honor, 100+ experience I can see on my left hand side, and still going strong and contending of getting things done which are far ahead of like 5 years, 15 years. It's very excellent of them. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'll have one point. Yes, sir.
Moral of the story is RBI wants strong cooperative banks. Small banks, they say either you become strong or you perish. This is the idea of RBI. In the sense, either you become a small finance bank or you become a universal bank. This is the idea of RBI. Thank you.
Yeah. So,
thank you, Yogesh.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and I would like to thanks Khushbu for kind of having this kind of panel, there for us to give so much of information how this has been, because this sector is kind of very important from India grassroots level, as you said, from Bharat per se, and now we are on the stage and kind of providing the importance onto that. So thank you everyone.